All right, what we're doing today is we're going to take this pump and replace it with, this is the stock SHO pump, or transverse 3.5 SHO, Explorer Sport, same thing, that a lot of people put the DW300C with, and we're going to replace it with this one. This is the Walbro 525 Hellcat pump. They're both relatively small pumps. The diameter of this area is the same as this. It's just this area that becomes a problem with fitment. Also, there's some small issues with up here. We're gonna have to change it a little bit. And obviously the connector, we'll be transplanting this connector onto this wire set right here. And just for size reference, you guys can see what we're talking about here as far as how these pumps are. So this is going to flow, supposed to flow a lot more at low pressures. I'm still a little bit curious how it's going to do at the higher pressures that this platform sees. So the charts for this thing actually takes a pretty deep dive when the pressures start climbing. So we will see. Anyway, let's get started. First thing we want to do is basically we want to disassemble this thing. It's actually pretty straightforward, not that big of a deal. You've got like this clip right here holding all the wires. You got two sets of wires, one set for the fuel pump, stock fuel pump, and one set for the fuel level sender. First thing we're going to do is disconnect the fuel level sender. We just unlooped everything from that hook. Just press this little tab in here. I usually use a screwdriver sometimes. It just makes it easier. Fuel level sender there. Then you have this little tab right here. Poke it in. Slide it up. Let it go. Pull it straight towards you. Boom. It's out. Too easy. Next thing we're going to want to do is remove, you could do this a couple different ways. Actually, let's disconnect the fuel pump itself. The fuel pump itself, the connector. Booyah. Let's start with the jet pump. Why not? Just kind of be careful with this. First thing you want to do is lift up this clip here. Slide this blue thing past here. Pull it out from, it's tucked under this right here. Okay, got that removed. What I want to do here first though is I'm gonna pull the pin out from this, the C-clip. Actually, let me do this way instead. Boom. Actually, this will make this easy. Let's just remove this clips, just kind of lift it up a little bit. Here's another clip. And then we've got another one. This one you want to be careful with. You can break it. I've had that happen before. It's right here. This third one. Let's see if we can. There we go. Boom. So, if you notice, this whole bucket wants to come out. Let's remove this. Spring. Got the spring out. Got this out. Off to the side. Kind of make it a little bit easier. This is off here. So now we got room to, because you want to stick your finger right in here. Actually, we're going to go right here. And you're going to, this little cylinder, you're going to want to pry it up. But when you pry it up, it's going to want to push this way. So you're using your finger to push that way. So there's a couple different ways. It just pops in there. There we go. So basically what I did is I was like this, and using the this little plastic pieces went like that. And you heard it pop out. Then this whole thing comes out like so. Ta-da! So if you notice there's that O-ring down in there, we're just going to pull that out. Don't damage it, it comes right out. Just gonna throw it here. We're not gonna be doing anything with this. This thing will remain as is. So we're putting that off to the side. Remove the connector. So the connector, first thing you want to pull out is this ground strap. Just push this down. It's like fold it up, keeps it from coming out. But if you push it down enough to go through there, that's out. And then just undo this from there. And then we've got the top of the pump, a little clip. Just pull that in, the screwdriver, and pull the clip out, and boom. So we will be using this thing, we will be mimicking this assembly onto the Hellcat pump. Let's see here. It's down. Now you may find ways to do this yourself easier, other ways. But just FYI, it is a pain in the butt to kind of do. We got 3 there, boom. Okay, nice. I think that was it. Boom. And now we're going to push out the pump. Just take a flat tip screwdriver and kind of push it down in there. Push the pump down. There you go. Falls out. Here's the OEM fuel pump. Keep this, you're gonna need this. And there's an O-ring in here. We're just gonna pull it out gently. There you go. Now you can tell the difference between the O-rings. There's only 2 in there. So, this is what we'll be modifying, this component and this component, and also this this component. So what we're going to do with this, just pull it apart and just pull it up, twist it out of here. So I'm doing stuff with all 3 of these things here. All right, first piece we're going to be working on is we'll do the filter sock part. Now I just moved everything out of the way because we're going to be making some dust over here, and we want to minimize the debris we're getting into the brand new pump assembly. So on that, what I use is sometimes I have these silicone powder coating plugs here. It work really good to plug stuff up. So here I'm going to plug that up for there. What we're going to do is we're going to separate the sock assembly from the pressure regulator retainer. In order to do that, first we're just going to use a regular old 24 tooth hacksaw blade that I just got laying around. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ride right along the edge right there and just saw straight down. Now you want to be careful not to hit this filter sock. When you're doing this, it's not that big of a deal. You're not that close to it, but and it's relatively quick. It goes through this really quickly. All right. I'm gonna deburr anything you can. And I do that, there's a couple ways I do it. I just take a blade and deburr any of this, what I call slag on these things. It needs to show up. Let me do that, okay. I think we're good. All right, this thing is good. We'll just install this back onto the pump because we're ready. This just retains that pressure relief valve there. 90 PSI valve. All right, on to the next component. Next thing we'll do is we'll take this piece and we're gonna wanna cut these 3 ears off. What I do is just get some thin pieces of cardboard and just kind of wedge it under there. Just make sure you don't nick that filter sock. And for this one, we're gonna go down at kind of like a 45-degree angle. A little bit, maybe not so harsh. Let's go to the next piece. Actually, what we want to do is we also want to cut this piece off right here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go right along this line right here. There we go. Cut that down. Now what you're going to have is these two little horns. I want to cut those. It's going to go backwards with the blade. Next ear. Okay, what I want to do on this one is like a little notch. So I can get it a little bit further in there. Okay, one of the last things you have to do to this thing is, if you look at this, see this crescent shape? If you look at the profile of it, it's raised up about 1/8 of an inch higher than the rest of it. Because of that, the pump does not sit properly inside here. So what we're going to do is file this crescent shape down to be flush with everything else. That's the objective here. And we're just gonna keep it flat as possible. This is tedious work right here. So I think we're about there. You gotta make sure you do the outsides here because it's easy to get this thing uneven. Okay, that's good. Then what we're gonna do is to cut the slag off. It's a little bit high right here. I could cut it. I could do it a little bit more. All right. I just had to go with something a little bit more aggressive. Just cutting the rest of the slag off, and we're done with this. Make a lot of this white dust everywhere, so that piece is done. What we're gonna modify. We had to modify this filter housing. What we're basically gonna have to do is chop this bottom section off right here because of the base of the Hellcat pump is wide. It won't fit down up in there, so we had to cut this off. See that blue plug in there? I plugged that. That's the inlet port for the filter, so we don't get any little slag and any pieces. What I did for that, because you want to make it flush. This is the original plug size, and I cut off the bottom part. About that much of that bottom part, about half of it. And the bottom half is what's jammed up in there. Get all of it off with the cutoff wheel because you don't want to cut it on this side, so you just finish it off with the hacksaw blade. clean up with this rag really good. Gets a lot of that slag off there, but still wouldn't hurt to get a blade here. Kind of flatten it up a little bit with a flat hasp here. I'm sorry, not a hasp, file. Kind of prettied up a little bit. Let's look at the profile and trying to knock down any high points. You might be wondering why I'm not using any compressed air right now. Well, we got to do some more cutting, so we'll get there. We're going to be doing a couple modifications of this, but first thing I want to do is remove the this connector. I don't want to just cut the wire because it's not very long. So we need as much of it as we can get. Get it off lightly. Put this thing into here. Boom. Push it up. There's a detent in there. Depress the detent. Pull it out. Too easy. And then what we're going to do is try to cut this. We're going to cut this thing as close to this as we can. What I'm going to do is right here. Cut it there. Cut it there. And then that comes off. And that comes off. There. Now we gave ourselves probably maybe a ½ inch or so. The other thing we're going to have to modify is I put a plug there to keep stuff out of it, but we're going to get rid of these barbs. If you notice, this thing doesn't have any barbs. It's going to be tedious. Just use your fingernail a little bit to get an idea if there's a ridge left on there. Somewhere around here. Perfect. Now, if you recall, on this there was this and the O-ring right there. See the fitment is on here. The OD of this is let's see, 343 thousandths, 343. The OD of this is 357. So it's just a tiny bit off. Not enough for me to sand it down, but this fits pretty snug. So what we're going to do is we're just going to polish the inside of that just a little bit. We're going to use this bit right here. Boom, that's it. Just had to kiss it a little bit. I mean, it's, you know, it's a little bit more snug, but it's not tight where it's gonna push that all the way down to there. So the next concern is going to be this area. You should notice, you see that gap? It's not very big. Now, this inserts into a slot into the filter assembly, and it hits this. But it needs to go down to about a 1/16 of an inch. Or I'm sorry, it needs to go down to about here. So to give us the most room possible, what we're going to do is ever so slightly cut here. Now if you recall, cut the end off this, and we're going to use that for a second. I'm going to illustrate you something here. Feed the wires down in there. Now, this thing will only go so far, right? Because what's happening is, you can see down in here, there's a ridge. We're going to have to take a flap wheel for the Dremel and just knock that whole ridge down. It takes a minute to do, but it's possible. Now, this is one of the reasons why you wanted to plug that up really well, because you're going to get a lot of dust in here. Feel it a couple times. Still there. Good. We're pretty much done drilling inside this thing, so I'm gonna pull this plug out because we're gonna need to use this dental hook to kind of stick into it and pull it out here. There we go. All right, we're not gonna install the O-ring just yet because we just need to, we're just measuring fitment. Boom, goes up in here. Actually, we can take this off too, because we need it clear. If you notice, this distance here, we're trying to get this thing up in there as much as possible. So if we can get us at least another 1/8 of an inch or so, and it's not this, it's not the ridge on the inside. What the holdup is now is, if you can see it, is this slot that the nozzle, output nozzle, sits in. Let's see if I can mark it with a sharp. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see where I marked. That's what we need to, trim that down a little bit. This is the part that I hate. This is the very tedious part. What I did here was, obviously we deburred, took off the barbs. What I did is, I, using a flat file, slowly, and make sure it's flat, file down about 1/8 of an inch from that. And then you need to try to shave as much of this circular area as you safely can. It's a pain in the butt, but you'll get it. And I'll go down in there. And as you can see, let us do this. Boom. It's about where it's going to sit at. All right, do you see the difference in length of the wire that we're messing with? We got this, has way longer than that. I've got the pumps lined up roughly where they would sit at in the module. What I'm going to do first is we're going to take this piece, this ground strap, and match it to around the same distance as here. Okay. It's gonna go like this. There. So what I did is I'm cutting just the insulation off. Boom. Okay. I want to put it like this. Some of the parts you're going to need are, for this particular portion, you're going to need this. From this place called Corset Technique. Part number you're going to need. Trim off one of the pieces. Put it right here. Stand by. Boom. Make sure it's crimped really well. We gotta heat shrink this, but we can't use regular heat shrink tubing. So you're gonna have to use this DR25 heat shrink from Raychem. Maybe 3/4 of an inch of a piece. This is why you want to do this piece first before you do the connector. This is why you can slide this on here. 1/8 inch DR25 heat shrink tubing. Now we are ready for the connector. Okay, remember which side is red, positive, negative. Positive is on the clip side. We're going to use our vise again. We're going to de-pin this thing. One thing you're going to have to do is this white thing, it flips up. Not much. There. You see it. It's a little bit of an angle. I think it's over here. Boom. There's a little connector. You can feel a little boom. Out. This is what we're going to be reusing. This is the connector you're going to need. The terminal that you're going to need for that. know if that's focused or not, but now the red one went on the clip end, so I think this went this way. Here we go. Boom. And boom. So now, and then mash that back in, a little white retainer that holds the pins in. So now we have OEM style connector wiring. I'm gonna slide that on there first, and then this O-ring, slide that onto there. I've got some of this Dow Corning like high vacuum grease. It's resistant to a lot of chemicals. Basically helps, it's gonna lube it up to install it there. But let us get this through there. Okay, now we're gonna install it. Push it down as far as it'll go. Okay. That's as far as it'll go. I'm gonna take this cap off here. And this will install like so. Going to put back there. And then you want to bend this tab back up a little bit. Keep it from coming out. We got one more thing to do before we can put this together. So we're going to put this assembly to the side, and I will show you what we're going to do. It's basically the band that goes around here. All right, the final piece of the puzzle, this collar. Now this collar keeps everything locked into the bucket, the actual bucket. But the problem is with that pump, no matter what we do, it sits up about a good 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch high, and you can't lock it in. So what we're going to have to do is get this thing pushed down, and then we put a spacer up top here, and I'll get you that part number. Boom. Okay. So there's ridges on here. It's like locking locator ridges. Squeeze it together, and what we're going to do is notch this band here. Where these are at. All right. Take it off. What I have to do here is but this is what we want to do. Sorry, I'm trying to get this on camera. But first, I'm going to go back to using the Dremel. too. Big one. A little more aggressive. And again, getting rid of some of this slag. Use like a razor, works pretty good for this. There we go. It's actually easier like this. All right, so now got this pretty much filed down. We may have to do some small adjustments. What we're gonna have to do though, what we do here now, is we're putting this spacer above it. It's a Viton fuel safe O-ring. It's not O, it's like a square ring gasket. If you need to know which one it is this one right here. I don't know if you can make it out. Part number is right there. So this is what we're gonna do. And start doing some assembly. We'll put this on. To put this on, there's one reason why I have to pull it off, because this thing, you have to snake it. Like so. Pump. And then bring it down. Okay, it's pushed up snug against there. But it does take some time. So, right there. Just go around at an angle. If you notice, they're notching in there, and it's wedging right up in there. Okay, push it there, push it there. Boom. Man, first time out. Well, I think we can put this back together. We might have ourselves a pump here. Okay, one thing we don't want to forget is our O-ring for the jet pump, which went down here. And I did put a little bit of that lube on there. So you want to make sure, this is where you can be a pain in the butt. This hose is going to snake here along the filter housing, and then this hose for the jet pump, the bypass hose, is going to go here. It's going to go like on the outside of that. Let's install some of this. Let's put the jet pump in first. And it will just snap into there. Boom. Assemblage. Boom. Let us do the pump here. Let's see how well our spacer works. This is always a little bit nerve-wracking. Clips there. One. Two. And the third one goes right there. Boom. Installing the spring. Oh shit. No. Don't. Why is this being extra difficult today? Okay, there. Routing is good. Jet pump hose there. That's there. It's clipped in there. We got the ground strap here. We're going to put the C-clip into right here. Boom. Now we're going to plug in the fuel pump. Okay. Let's get this. And all the while, you want to verify fitment, movement. Nothing starts chafing, or pulling. Okay. Got the fuel level cylinder switch here. Install it straight and then push it downwards. Doesn't bind. I'm gonna loop this wire on the little hook. Put this up in here. Now, because the Hellcat wires are a lot shorter, we're not going to be able to do that loop that it does over there, but we're still good. Anyway, there, we've got us a Hellcat fuel module. All is well. Everything looks good. Just going to clean it up a little bit and send it out. Thank you again for paying attention. And hopefully it wasn't too boring for you. Hit me up if you guys are interested in having this done, or if there's anything that was confusing in here, I could explain it a little bit better.